What is up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk podcast. And there's just something about the underdog, but you see him Hall of Famer, all star, scoring leader, steals leader, the one and only Mr. Rick Barry. How are you and the family, sir?
Everybody's great. Thank you. Hope the same is true for you. And yeah, the underdog stuff. I know what that's like to be the underdog because it was probably one of the crowning moment of my career when we were able to pull off the biggest upset in the history of I think major sports finals. I don't think anything is comparable to it. Nobody can come up with anything to prove me wrong. In championship series, I mean, you talk about an underdog. We weren't even supposed to be a team that was supposed to even be in the playoffs, and then the biggest mismatch in the history of NBA finals. This is going to be a sweep. Well, they got the sweep part right. They just got the wrong damn team.
Well, that is true, and there's something about the underdog. And as a member of the Golden State Warriors, I mean, you won an NBA championship in 1975. What were the key elements that made this team so successful? And what were some of the most memorable moments from that championship run, Rick?
Well, the reason it worked is because everybody on the team was selfless. It was really a team in the true sense of the word of what it's supposed to be, where everybody was concerned about the success of the team and what they could do to help the team. And whether a guy played 2 minutes or 20 minutes or 40 minutes, he was going to give everything he had. Everybody was cheering for one another. We would go eat together. We go to the movies together. It was really like kind of a big family. And we also had a person that I think brought everything together, who I felt was the most important person on the team, the most valuable person on the team. And that's Clifford Ray, our center, who we had gotten from Chicago in the trade for one of the greatest centers in the history of the game, and a dear friend who unfortunately is not with us any longer. Nate Thurman traded him to Chicago for Clifford. And that was a huge factor. And Clifford was the guy that kind of brought everybody together. He actually, I didn't know about it during the season. Later on, we're dear friends. We fished together. We're like brothers. And he told me about a meeting that he had called with the guys before the season without me knowing about it. And I said, well, what the hell did you call a meeting for? He says, well, I called a meeting and I told these guys, he said, hey, is there anybody in this room that can go out and get 35 to 40 every night? And he said, nobody put their hand up. And he said, well, we got a guy that can do that, and we need to ride him. And so and he got to know me because I went and picked him up at the airport when he came in, which he couldn't believe I did that. I said, Clifford, I may be dumb, but I'm not stupid. I like centers to set screens for me. So I want to go ahead and make you happy so you'd be willing to do that. And I try to get him a dunk early in the game so that he'd want to keep coming out and setting and putting, being a screener for me. And so he called that meeting, and then he told them, and he said, look, he's crazy when he plays, do it, but you have to understand, don't take anything personal. He just wants to win. And what happens on the court, when he walks off the court, it stays on the court. It has nothing to do with you personally. So if he yells at you or something, don't worry about it. He's got a big bark, but no bite. And so whatever he said, and it worked. And we were really a great group of guys and a great team. And I'm really excited because it's been one of the most overlooked accomplishments in professional sports history in this country. The greatest upset in all the major sports, and there's never been a story, a documentary, anything done about our team. And finally, something has been done, and I am hoping that it's going to come out later this year. And I'm hoping that Joe Lacob and Peter Guber will be nice enough. I'd love to be able to see them do the premiere and open up the Chase Center to the fans and have the premiere be there sometime this coming fall. So I'm hoping that's going to happen.
And wow, that is what is needed. And obviously, you were known for your scoring ability and taking the pick and driving, but you were also an excellent passer and one of the best to ever play the game at passing the ball. And how did you develop your court vision and then passing skills? Was this something that you just had, or was it something you developed, Rick?
Well, here's the one thing I can teach you. I can teach you, and people can teach you how to dribble. They can teach you how to pass the ball, as far as different types of passes. You can teach somebody to become a better shooter. You can teach somebody to be a little better rebounder, learning to screen out, knowing the fundamentals. But the one thing that can't be taught is a natural feel for the game. And when the passes that you see by a lot of these guys here, that's just having a great natural feel for the game that can't be taught. And I just don't understand with some of these scouts. I've been watching it for so many years now. They get so hung up on athleticism. I said, I tell you what, you take the athlete, I'll take the guy that has the natural feel and knows how to play this game the correct way. And I remember seeing it in LeBron when I saw him in high school. I mean, even, I had a high school game on television. And first time I said, oh my God, he's going to be a great player. He has such a feel for the game because he could see the floor. I mean, you can't teach that. Like I said, I could teach you the pass. I can't teach you to see. I mean, you just have this natural thing, oh my God, something happens like this. And you go, okay, if I throw a bounce pass right now in between those two guys, my teammate running up the left side is going to catch the ball and have an easy layup. How the hell do you teach that? You can't teach that. And so the great players have that natural feel for the game. So that's the big differentiator, I think, between a good player and a great player.
Agreed. And no one can teach an underhand free throw.
Oh, yeah. Somebody can teach it. Nobody wants to learn it. That's the problem.
and I have to ask, how did the underhand free throw come to be? I mean, what was the reason behind that? Obviously,
it's the only way people shot years ago. My dad was a semi-pro player and coach. They shot two-hand set shots and underhanded two hands. They didn't have one-handed shots when basketball first started out. Nobody shot one-handed. There's a guy by the name of Hank Lucetti, was a guy that was the first guy in college that started shooting one-handed shots. And then Joe Folks in the NBA, from what I hear the stories, that he's the first guy started taking one-handed jump shots. But, so it's been around forever. I mean, you want to talk about old school stuff. I mean, the Bulls won a bunch of championships running basic basketball one-on-one, the triangle offense, which somebody said was some miraculous thing. Hell, that's what they did that in Stone Ages. And so they just ran it really well and happened to have a guy that if there was 5 seconds left and you didn't get a shot, you let Michael have the ball, So that worked out pretty well. So it's the same thing with the underhanded free throw. It's been around. And for all of a sudden, there's this stigma about it, the granny shot, and how am I going to look doing it? Who the hell cares what you look like? Right? What's the criteria? Is it going in the damn basket at a high rate of efficiency? If it's not, then damn it, change. Try something new. I can't understand why these guys let their egos get in the way when they're doing themselves a disservice, their teammates a disservice, their team a disservice, and their fans a disservice by not being better at the free throw line. And it's the only part of the game that you can be selfish and help your team.
And I couldn't agree more. And, mental toughness and the mental aspect of the game is so important. And this is something that you've been a big advocate in terms of the mental toughness. How important is mental toughness and, to the game of basketball?
Well, I think the mental part of any sport or anything you do in life is critical. I mean, that's one of the reasons Tiger Woods is so good. He was so tough mentally. I mean, and especially in golf, which is so much more difficult than basketball as far as mental toughness. You have to be so focused for 4 to 4.5 hours, 4 days in a row under conditions that change every day because of the weather. You're not in a gym, where maybe the lighting's a little bit different. The basket's the same height. The basket's the same distance. I mean, everything is basically the same. I mean, seriously, I mean, that's such an important part of the game. And some people aren't really mentally tough. I mean, and it all comes down, I think, to having great confidence in yourself. Confidence to me is the key to success. When I talk to businesses or young kids, I try to explain to them that you have to have confidence in your ability to do what it is you've trained to do. If you really want to be great, you have to believe in yourself. You really do. Now, are you always going to be successful? Absolutely not. I mean, I failed many times, but I thought I was going to be successful. And if I wasn't, I'd try to figure out, well, what did I do wrong? Why didn't it happen? And, it's just one of those things. Hey, I took a good shot. It just didn't go in. Okay, so hell, I'm taking the next one if I had the same opportunity. I would want every game that I could play, and if I could control it, to have come down to the last 10 seconds with the ball in my hand and the game on the line.
Wow. That's every boy's dream and every girl's dream, to have 10 seconds, ball in your hand, down by 2, make that 3. And as a basketball Hall of Famer, I just have to say that one more time, Hall of Famer, you've achieved incredible success, Rick. Looking back on your journey, what do you consider your most significant personal growth or transformation throughout your basketball career and then even beyond?
Well, I think it was the fact that I was never satisfied with what I did. I always try to get better. I was the best free throw shooter in the league, and I changed my style to get better, and I did. I was shooting in the high 80s, And after I made the change, my last 6 years, I shot over 92%. And my last 2 years, I shot over 94%. So I was a better free throw shooter at the end of my career than I was at the beginning. Why? Because I was never satisfied with what I did. And I always try to get better. I mean, I try to tell people, the moment you think that you've got it and you've made it and you're there, if you don't continue to try to get better, that's going to be the start of your downward spiral. You always have to strive to improve and get better at what it is you're doing if it's your profession.
And I totally agree on that. And as a basketball Hall of Famer, again, this is the third time I'm just throwing this out there. What advice do you have for aspiring athletes who dream of having, a successful career in the sport of basketball?
Learn the fundamentals of whatever it is you're doing, whether it's basketball, whether it's science, whether it's music, art, whatever the hell it is. You have to understand the fundamental principles and concepts of what it is you're studying. That is the foundation you're going to lay down to build on. And you cannot build a skyscraper on a small foundation. It will topple over. You will never maximize your full potential if you don't truly understand the basics and fundamental principles and concept of what it is you're doing.
Boom, 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 boom. And
I'm going to bring up one thing. You keep bringing the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's a nice thing. But actually, the thing is, NBA Top 50 is actually more prestigious. And I'll tell you why. Because it's the best of the best. There's a lot of people in the Basketball Hall of Fame who are there because of their collegiate careers and their overall careers. A lot of the guys that are Hall of Famers might not necessarily aren't necessarily all in the NBA Top 50.
And you, sir, are in that top 50, and that alone is just remarkable. And I was going to lead into
let me just interrupt you. But that doesn't mean crap, okay? That's nice. It's wonderful. Here's what I equate things to, okay? Winning championships is what it's about. Winning the scoring title, the steals, assists, whatever, free throws, whatever it is, all these individual honors, all-star teams, whatever. First team all NBA, all great stuff. It's like having the icing, the candles, the cherries, and all these things equate to those awards. Put them on a plate with no cake. What do they look like? It could be a big mess. It's just all these things sitting there with different colors. It doesn't look so good. The cake is what you want. You want the championship. And then I was lucky enough to have all these other wonderful little things to adorn that cake to make it look even better. And the only ring that you'll ever see, here's the ring. This is what I wear. Right there. That's my championship ring. And so I played to win championships. I did not play to win awards. And here's the thing. I've learned more. Actually, I know I was really underpaid when I played because I've learned more about what I've done individually with the records and stuff like that I never had any idea of over the last 10 years because everything's become so analytical, so statistically oriented. It's gotten like baseball now, where baseball is the one that always did all that. Well, this guy did that. It was 1896 or well, I mean, come on. And then because I'm seeing a newscast going, oh yeah, and so it was Devin Booker just joins the elite company of having done this, this, and this, and everything, and he joins Rick Barry, and so on. I said, oh, I did that. I had no freaking idea. It's been crazy. It's been really interesting for me to see all of that stuff because I never paid any attention to it, and probably the one that blew me away more than anything else when somebody brought it up is that. If you were to go and ask all of your friends and everything, hey, who has the highest career scoring average in NBA finals? There's nobody's going to say me, but it is by a significant number of points average for NBA finals for games played, minimum number played. And I had no idea about that. None.
Talk about an underdog. I mean, Rick Barry, and I do have one final question. Who was the best player you ever played with or against in the
NBA? My
NBA?
God, how much time do we have left? I've played against so many great players. I played with a lot of outstanding players, but I played with a couple of Hall of Famers. I played with Nate Thurman, Hall of Famer, right? Moses Malone, Hall of Famer. Calvin Murphy, a Hall of Famer. I played with another guy that should be in the Hall of Fame, but didn't get it, who was Jeff Mullins, because Jeff Mullins had a great collegiate career. He had a really nice NBA career, made some all-star teams and what have you. And there are guys who didn't even accomplish that in the NBA and are in the Hall of Fame now. And I think Jeff's been shortchanged. But he was at the end of his career, and he was willing to do kind of like what David Lee and Andre Iguodala did for the Warriors. He was willing to come off the bench. And Bill Bridges, who was late in his career, who played with the Hawks and stuff, we got him. And they were both willing to play the role of being the veteran coming in off the bench. And it was really very advantageous for it and really helped us a great deal. And that's what a team is all about. I just had the experience with my Big Three team. I coach in the Big Three. I've had the good fortune of Cube allowing me to do that, Ice Cube, for the last 6 years. And I have a really fun team. I love the guys on my team. And we just came back from Miami, and we played there yesterday and had a great win. And the win was only accomplished because the two guys who don't start got to play a significant amount, and I let them stay in the game because they were playing well. And without them, we don't win that basketball game. My top player has been, Leandro Barbosa, who played with the Warriors, the Brazilian blur. Great person. Love him. And Jody Meeks, who played at Kentucky, and then Jeff Ayers, who's a 7-footer. But my other guy, Dwan Summers and Jalen Johnson, who's the youngest guy on our team, they did such a terrific job. I'm so proud of them. We were down. We played terribly. We couldn't put the ball in the ocean to start with. Oh my God! I said I can go out there and miss those shots, and we just had one of those times. And we were down by almost 10 points in the first half, and fought our way back and wound up winning the game fairly convincingly with two of my starters on the bench, and the other guys just played so well. But that's what a team does. That's what our team did in '75. In fact, Game 7, finals, Western Conference against the Bulls at home. I'm stinking up the joint. And probably the greatest, I say not probably, without question, the greatest coaching the decision Al Attles ever made was benching me midway into the third quarter in Game 7 at home to go to the finals and put me on the bench and believed in my teammates to do it. We were down double digits, middle of the third quarter. I figured, I was ready to go in certainly at the end of the quarter, and he didn't put me in because the guys are hanging in there. So I stayed on the bench to start of the fourth quarter. I mean, what coach is going to do that? I mean, seriously. And so my guys did a nice job. When I did go back in, we were only down 6. And he put me back in the game. And I remember, this is where the confidence comes. Some guys 2 for 14, I'm already going to be back in those days. The GOAT was the guy that screwed up, not the greatest of all time. Somebody came up with that thing, but back then you were the GOAT. Maybe they probably call it the hog, although I'm a ball hog now. But no, that you shouldn't be a ball hog. But you were terrible, and so I had nowhere to go but up. But I believed in myself. I said I'm better than this, and so I remember exactly where I was on the court. I was open for about an 18-foot jump shot, and I took it and I made it, and I wound up playing my brand of basketball, my style of basketball, the last part of the game. George Johnson, our reserve center, was in. He's blocking everything that came in there and just doing a tremendous job. And we wind up winning the game, coming from double digits down at home. And, that'll always be such a fond memory, but it's a perfect example of why you need to have a team and bench players who can get the job done. You got to have that. And that's one of the reasons the Warriors were successful all the time, was they had a bench and they had their veteran guys that came in. I mean, in fact, the similarities between that first Golden State championship in 40 years with our team, I was writing for the Examiner, and I wrote about that team when the Warriors were winning, that 40 years later. And the similarities were just unbelievable. I mean, it's lengthy to go into, but, the points between their two top scorers and myself and Jamal Wilkes were so close between Clay and Steph. I mean, the going deep and playing 9-10 guys. I mean, coming off the bench to do it. I mean, they didn't have a great center. We had the two-headed monster, Clifford Ray and George Johnson. I mean, it was so interesting. And the two veterans coming off the bench like we had. So it was remarkable but it took 40 years for them to pull that off again. But, they did it, thank God. But the reason that they were able to stay successful all those years is they managed to always put together and have a nice bench that can complement the guys who were the starters. That's one of the reasons the Lakers had such a long run during the time. That's why the Celtics were able to do it for back then. That's why the Spurs were able to do it for so long. You have to have a bench.
And that's why the six-man award is there. I mean, Rick, thank you so much for taking your time. Now, before we go, the floor is yours. Where can we find your Instagram? Anything you're working
Well,
on?
it's Rick24 Barry and all that social media stuff. But if people will go, if they want to get some stuff to help them, I live with this stuff every single day. I'm involved with some companies. You can maybe post them or do something afterwards because I know it's hard for people to remember everything. But AloeMD, ALOEMD.com, AloeMD.com. We have a product that's an aloe-based product that in and of itself was a great product, but now we have a whole different formulation of cannabinoids in there. I'm involved in that business, and it is remarkable. The guys on my team, I just gave some to them when the locker room said, I got to get some more of that stuff. That stuff's unbelievable. I mean, I've seen so many things happen with people who just come up and rave about it. And it's called Ultimate Repair X, AloeMD.com, the Ultimate Repair X. And then I'm going to give you a code for all these things. So that's one. Then the other company that I get started in, Medicileaf, actually supplied the cannabinoids for the AloeMD product for the Ultra Repair X. And that's Medicileaf.com, Medicileaf. They've got a Platinum Pro salve that's the most powerful cannabinoid product I've ever used. That's amazing. 5,500 milligrams of, it's awesome. And I use it. I use this stuff every day. And so Medicileaf.com. And then the other one, the last one is Go Sleeves, SLEEVES.com. And that's kinesio tape built into sleeves for your knees, your calves, your Achilles, your elbows. Just awesome product. The running people are going nuts over it. I never play pickleball. I'm big into pickleball now, but I never play. I got one to try. A guy came up who's back in the Bay Area a few number of years ago, and he said, we got some product you want to try. I said, yeah, sure, send me some. So I put it on. Man, I liked it. I liked it so much. I wear it on my good knee, so I'm balanced off, and it feels good, and it's great for recovery. And you just go to the site and read about it. GoSleeves.com. And the code that you put in on all three of them is RB24, RB, small RB, 24, my number, and you'll get a substantial discount. And I just say I love these products, absolutely love them. So and I won't inundate it with stuff. I'm getting involved in some other stuff now, but I can't really talk about those.
Well, all three of those links will be in this YouTube bio. And first person to use that code on any one of those websites, I will be sending you out a big box full of goodies and a signed autograph from our good friend Brandon Cooks. I know it's a different sport, but it still counts. Guys, please go check it out.
Oh, that's nice of you to do that. But I'm telling you, the people will be calling in and say, hey, thanks for having Rick put that on there, because I've seen this change people's lives. I mean, it's not a cure-all, it's not a miracle, but it's a hell of a product. I mean, it really is. I put it on my back because I strained my back lifting a rock after I retired, and it's never been the same. But this thing is amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of great products that are available. I'm big into health. I'm getting more into a couple other health things right now that I'll talk about later. But I still, for an old man, look pretty good. And my goal is to be 100 years old and be able to go fly fishing and still play pickleball, because I'm big into pickleball. I've won a lot of national big time championships, and I'm proud to be one of the top ranked players in my age and skill category. So you got to keep yourself active. You got to have goals. And next year, my goal, and I say this every time I get on a show, I'm looking for a woman who will be 80 years old next year, who is a good pickleball player, at least a 4.0 rated player. And if she would like to, I need a partner for the three major tournaments: the US Open in April, the World Senior Championships in October in Utah, and then the USA National Pickleball Championships outside of Dallas next year in November. So I goal, as in my 80th year of life, I got a lot of things planned. My goal is to try to win the Triple Crown in those three events, which is singles, which I've never played in a tournament singles yet. Singles, mixed doubles, and men's doubles. I have my men's doubles partner, my guy Fred Shuey and I from San Diego. Fred and I won the US Open 75 to 79 4.5 pickleball championships this past April. And so he's going to be 80 next year as well. So I think I'm good with my partner there, as long as he stays healthy, hopefully, like me too. And then I'm going to play singles, which I've been working on and practicing with a lot of really good players, and I think I'll be tough in singles. I think I think I can win. Hell, I wouldn't be going in it if I didn't think I could win. So anyway, that's my goal. You got to have goals in life. So my goal is to win the Triple Crown, and I'm going to try to do it in all three of the tournaments.
Well, Rick, I thought you were 20 years old, but we will start searching for your partner, and we will get you that partner who has a 4.0 rating. Trust
Four
me.
point, at least 4.0 or 4.5, 4.0, because that's where you got me rated and mixed. And I think I'm better, but whatever. It has to be at least a 4.0 player who's going to be 80 years old. Anytime if she turns 80, anytime in the year of 2024, which is kind of cool too, because I'm going to be 80, but I'm 24, my number, cool. And my son Scooter, my oldest boy, used to wear number 20. So 2024 will be a special year for me.
Well, we are going to start looking now, guys. Don't forget to check out all 3 of these links that are in the bio and use RB24 to save some money on that. Rick, thank you again for taking your time to come on the podcast.
Well, my pleasure. God bless everybody with good health first and foremost, and have a wonderful summer.
Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, the Hall of Famer and the Underdog out.